And the first part of that is custodial Roth IRA, which is a fantastic strategy. And the cool thing about Roth IRA is you pay your taxes when you're putting the money in, and then you never pay your taxes again. The kid didn't pay taxes in the first place. So they don't pay taxes when you put it in. They don't pay taxes on the growth, and they don't pay taxes when it comes out. The math on it would just blow your mind.
Especially
If
starting
you,
young.
yeah,
Young
if
like
you
that is the
start,
key.
yeah, start at 12. Between the ages of 12 and 18, if you just pay your kids 5 grand a year and you dump that into a Roth IRA, by the time they're ready to retire, it's going to be worth $4.6 million. Start a couple years earlier, $11 million. The money is insane, and you will never pay, they will never pay taxes on any of that for a few $1,000s a year.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I've spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast with another, yes, another incredible guest. Ryan Otto is with us today. And Ryan, no one knows Ryan as well as Ryan. So, Ryan, we need the backstory. Bring us up to speed so we can get into our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, first of all, thanks for having me, Richard. It's great to be here. Um, yeah, so I started in the accounting world 26 years ago now, and I kind of made my way through some different companies and learning some stuff. And my journey has been not only varied as far as companies, but varied across the entire country. So I've lived everywhere from California to Washington, D.C. Settled down in Texas, and I've got my family here, and it's a great thing. I've got a couple of kids, and now I have a couple of businesses. And the one that I'm really working on right now is Accent Financial Services, which is a tax and accounting firm. And I'm trying to help people with tax strategy.
There we go.
And that's kind of where we're at now.
I love it. I love it. I love tax strategy. I'm not really interested in talk about tax compliance.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, not super engaging for a podcast. Okay, just saying, nothing wrong with, and we need those people, but that's not,
Yeah, we
those
put
are
we
not
put
fun.
this
Yes,
number in this box and that number in
yes.
that box, and
Can I pull up
yeah,
an
no.
Excel spreadsheet? So
We
yeah,
and
no,
you
we're
know
gonna do that.
we do all of that stuff too, but my
Right.
thing is I'm a certified tax advisor and I love helping people figure out their strategies.
Yeah, I love it. A big thing I do for my clients as well is that's like you got the accounting, the CPA part done. What's the strategy? How are you keeping more of it? Yes, it's all going to the right places and all that, but you're at a point in you get a point in your business where that, you have to get into tech strategy. And I think, and I'd like you to address this too, is just how soon is not too soon for a tax strategy?
Sure. You know, that's an interesting question because I will have people that they'll come chat with me right at the beginning of their business journey. And for them, I'm like, okay, well, it's great that you're getting involved, that you're thinking about these things. There's just not much to be done yet. Like you don't have any accounting because you haven't done anything yet. You don't have any tax, you don't have to pay taxes because you haven't made any money yet.
That's it.
And so it's cool to see people starting from there. But I'll tell you the best clients that we have, they're right at that point in their journey where they're starting to see some success. They're like, man, last year I made more money than I really thought that I would have. And now I got to start thinking about some of these other things. And yeah, so for me, I think there's no problem starting right from the beginning. There's just not much I can do to help you. But that first year that you make some money and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Oh man, the strategies open up all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, you get to be making money to have a strategy about money. Okay.
Yeah,
It's just,
exactly.
you start with a different strategy. Start with making money strategy. Start with that.
Yep.
Just that should be your first strategy. But you're right, and I have seen with my clients when they put these things in place, wow, like they are keeping a lot of their money. I mean, it's impressive, and I've seen the full gamut. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. A lot of them when they hit that third, fourth, fifth year in business, things are humming pretty well, depending again who's, what they're doing in their business. Some people are
Yeah.
on a hamster wheel and they can't get past the first 2 years. I'm meaning that they just keep repeating the first 2 years over and over, right? They're not
Yeah. Yeah.
expanding and all that, but the ones who are making the right moves, um, and and I've seen people at 10 years and 12 years, they haven't done this yet. They're still listening. They're still in compliance phase and it's
Yeah.
costing them a fortune. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Okay. I didn't know the difference. I thought the CPA does all that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess I'm paying as little as possible. Yeah, you're not. Okay.
You're not.
Okay.
You're not.
It's just,
Because
you're,
if you're not even talking about it, you can't assume that whoever's doing your taxes is helping you do stuff. Like the most of the time it's just about checking the boxes and putting the right number in the right box. And it's not about thinking it all the way through.
well, it's not their job.
Right.
They're
Right.
just not their, they're, you wouldn't want that person doing it
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
this,
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think of it like kind of like this, because in a lot of the meetings that I've had, people have been like, why has my CPA never told me this? I'm like, it takes a lot of work to get all of the moving pieces together and be able to do that. And if your CPA is focused on doing taxes and they're like, April 15th comes around, I'm done with my job and I'm going on vacation, that's not the person who's working on the strategy stuff. They're just the compliance piece. So you got to find somebody who does the strategies and knows how to. I probably spend 3 hours a day just learning things that I can keep improving what I'm telling people about, you know?
well, I think just the word strategy, what people have to think about, this is tax chess, not checkers. Okay, this is tax. You'll be looking. You're looking down the road. You're looking many moves ahead. What am I doing this? Why am I doing it? What is the expected outcome, and when? Right. So it's a completely different game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, we in my company, we have people who do tax prep and we have people who do IRS stuff. Um, but man, the strategy is just it's such a completely different mindset that I can't even take them and try to convert them into strategy people. It's too much in the box and not enough like,
Well, I always look from a business standpoint out in your situation. This is how I would look at it. I never hired them for that. I've got great people doing exactly what that is.
yeah,
Okay. And I'm not looking to grow them into a whole new arm of, because compliance and strategy, again, checkers and chess, is a different game. It could be even more different. I don't know, Chinese checkers. I don't even know what that is, except little balls I used to throw at my
Chinese
brother.
Chinese chess.
Yeah, all that, so I don't know that, but strategy is a completely different animal. Now we do it in business, like we do strategy for strategic thinking is what it's all about in business, right? So if you're looking to get new market space or expand your business or what's the best way to go forward with this, we're trying to roll something out. It's all strategy. So
Yeah,
why wouldn't you apply the same thinking to your money? Because the only way
yeah,
you're going to get all that other strategy completed is to have more money to do those
yeah.
things. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, like how many specialists are out there for some of these things. And, as you start trying to figure out as a business owner, like there's all of these different pieces that you have to bring together. And as you start realizing, like, hey, this one thing is an entire discipline that I just don't know about.
right,
And
right,
like, okay, I need to talk to somebody who knows that, who can also talk to this person. Like having a social media person and a marketing person and a salesperson, not the same thing.
right.
But being able to have a strategy to bring all of those things together, that takes a special kind of way of thinking.
Yeah, it's really important because again, you got a lot of moving pieces. Any business has got a lot of moving pieces, and even you just broke it down for tax. There's going to be different compartments that you got to deal with, and they do need to communicate to each other. It's not like you don't have to have compliance. You just focus on strategy. You don't get to.
Yeah.
That's what I call the hard parts of business. That aren't
Yeah.
sexy or anything like that. Strategy can be kind of sexy. Okay, if I can put it in that term, but the compliance not so much, right? So,
Yeah. No, the strategy stuff, clients will walk out of here like a whole new universe opened up. But man, just in the world of business, I tell my team all the time, I'm like, I could fill a book with all of the things that I didn't know that I didn't
right, yeah. Well, we all could.
know.
I could probably have a couple of volumes by now. But the thing about strategy too, when you're talking with entrepreneurs, okay, we love that stuff because it's vision in there. You got so like you can really get engaged with an owner. Whereas again, and I'm really not trying to beat up the compliance folks. I'm just saying that's some glassy eyed. I had a decades ago, I've been married like 27 years, but I had a girlfriend who was a billing manager for a huge company. Okay. Oh, like we'd have dinner or something, we'd go out, and she starts talking, and and she goes, "You just glaze over. You have no interest." I'm like, I want to. Like, I'm just like, I can't. It's horrible. So, yes, I'm not married to her. Okay. She was in the Dilbert jokes, man. I'm like, I'm moving boulders and stuff and building cool stuff. So we kind of, it wasn't the right fit. Let's just say that. But again, it's got a, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you have these things that really energize you,
Yeah.
and business strategy, tax strategy, because to me, tax strategy, Ryan, is really, it's an offensive tool against someone against I'm just going to say it, against a thief.
Yeah. Somebody's trying to take your stuff.
Someone's trying to
That's
take my
exactly
stuff.
what it is.
And I want,
Yeah.
that's it. So let's talk about that because I think we need to be in the right mindset for this stuff too. Do you find that there's an actual like, and you're going to get people all over the map, super aggressive people. Okay, yeah, I should do it. Ooh, can I actually do that? They're going to be real hesitant and all that. But like, what is that about? How are you conveying that to people? Like that's the purpose of this.
Yeah. Well, so we've definitely had people that I've thrown out a bunch of strategies and they're like, I don't know. It seems like I shouldn't do that. I don't want to be, risky or anything. I'm like, it's all legal. This is all in the tax code for you to
Right.
use. But I think what opens people's eyes a lot of times is there's so much stuff in there for business owners. And so once you say, okay, I'm going to own a business, right? I'm stepping out of just my W-2 check boxes and I'm going to own a business. You say, okay, what can I do with this? Oh, I can do this thing. Oh, I could do this thing. Oh, I could do this thing. And just the fact that somebody has, lit up their entrepreneurial engine, they start being open to lots of different things. And to be able to explain to people that, this is stuff that the IRS wants you to do because they can't do these things. And you put it in a position where you're the federal government has its place to do things. State government has its place to do things, but they can't go start a business and make widgets for somebody. That's not in their purview. They need people to do that. And if they need somebody to do that, and you're like, hey, listen, we're supposed to be a widget town and we're supposed to make all these things. Well, the tax code is what they have to offer to incentivize people to go do these things. So now you're a person who is willing to go make the widgets, and they're like, awesome. Thank you so much for coming and making widgets. Here's your credit for doing that. And once you kind of like you approach it like that, you say, "Well, no, there's all these tools that you have to use, and you didn't know that they existed, but other people have made these tools for you, and now you can go play in the toolbox."
Yeah, I think it's like you're saying, it's incentive. We were
Yeah,
basically a 70% entrepreneurial country at one point. Now it's like
yeah,
30, maybe if it's that high, 30, 35. But again, they still want their share. They want their tax. So they want you to make money. So it's kind of like it's not a bait and switch, but it really is kind of like, here's incentive to go make money and you can take advantage of it so that we can take more money, because that's all they do is take. They don't make anything. Okay.
yeah,
So they can take more money. So it's kind of this revolving door. It will help you make more money so we can take more money.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you're smart and you put the strategy in place, that's actually there. They just know human nature. And I'm totally making this up, but to me, it's like they know most people won't do it because they're going to be running a business and they're going to be frustrated. And all everything else that goes into a business, that, like, now let me go sit back and think about my tax strategy when you're just trying
yeah,
to get payroll taken care of, right? So they kind of know what's going on out there, so the odds are in their favor that people are going to overpay because they don't
yes,
know this 70,000 pages of tax code.
yeah. Yeah, I no that's absolutely true. And we have all of these different laws that get made, and how long do they last? And when do they start? And when do they end? And who does it apply to? And it's all there if you want to go read it, but it's so much that nobody's ever going to go read it. So, so you might see something on the internet and it'll be like, hey, you should, go set up a business trust or something. And everybody's like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me go do that because I won't ever pay taxes. Like, well, no, that's not exactly how that works. There's a lot of pieces that go into that. You just saw that one thing that said, oh, you should go do this or go do, set yourself up as an S corp. Okay, but there's a time and a place for doing that stuff. And then once you do that, it's in the middle of a bunch of other pieces. And but yeah, what the assumption is, and it's true of I think the government as well as the internet at large, is you're only paying attention to whatever the thing is that's in front of you,
Right.
and you don't see all of the other stuff that you can do.
Yeah, and to your point, it's very, and that's it. There's a ton of stuff, not just tax related, anything. And pick a business. Okay, you're going to constantly be working towards mastery, or education or more knowledge or experience. Just experience alone all takes time. But again, you're right. Until you're focused on it, this is a key thing that, like, my first 20 years in business, like, that was the worst. I mean, I wouldn't take help from anybody. It wasn't like I was making tons of money, didn't think about keeping it. You know what I mean? I just make
Yeah,
more. It was just a machine. It was just a vending machine for me. I just, and then it wasn't. So it's, 0809 comes and poof, everything's gone. So, and I look back and go, all the things. I used that great saying, if I only had what I lost, I'd be
yeah,
fine. Okay. So, but I wouldn't take counsel. Okay. I was anti, don't tell me anything. Okay.
yeah.
Something I discourage all my children not to do. Okay. So,
Well, but I think that's true of many entrepreneurs
mm-hmm.
where I'm building a thing, it's in my mind. Nobody's done what it is that I'm trying to do right now. So no, I can't take advice from you because you don't know what it is that's happening in my mind, right? The mind of an entrepreneur is a it's a real squirrely kind of place.
It is. Yeah, you don't go in there unarmed. But
Yeah.
the important thing is like, so here's the thing, like this, and again, I think it goes back to our initial point about you're too young in business. Like I love startups. I love people getting into business, and I am the master of free advice. Okay. And then I'm out. Because because it's just I kind of fire hose them with a bunch of stuff. Okay, go get it, and I'm out. Because
Yeah.
I tell them I can't coach them. I can't do things because you don't have enough scars yet. You got to go lose some money. You got to go get punched in the face. Like you have to go through these things. So in 2 years, in 3 years, whatever I would tell you today, you'll actually do because you're probably not going to
Yeah.
do it now. Or you're going to take a thing or two, you're going to cherry pick because you don't have the context to understand where all this stuff fits yet. So it's very, very difficult to help them. I can do some superficial stuff, but from a let's call it from a paid position, right? We all working, we got a business. They have to again have some wounds. They have to have been through it. They have to because they don't have an appreciation for it. It's like anything else, right? Until you've
Yeah.
kind of lost, you can't appreciate what you have,
Yeah.
right? So I,
I I definitely feel like I've taken my punches for sure.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I,
I
and
mean,
and you know what? I'm ready for some more.
that's
I got
right,
other
man.
ideas to play with.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing: the learning curve does shorten through experience, right? I call it time compression. So you work with me, I take 10 years, we'll put it into one. That's all your costly mistakes, bad decisions, all the goofy stuff you would do, on your own because you're not
Yeah.
being guided properly. Like you trust me, you're going to do it. You're going to make all kinds of dumb things that'll cost you a lot of real money, and that's what this is kind of about. Now you get, so let's just compound this, Ryan. So you're making dumb decisions, costly mistakes. Okay. You're stacking this money for someone else because you're losing it and you don't have any tax strategy, right? Now you're compounding your losses. That's what I'm saying. When you're making money and you hit the seven figure and you're 2 and 3 million and 5 million a year, you're bringing in revenue and you got a decent amount, like, but you don't have anything. Well, so
Yeah.
you look and go, where's my money? Like I'm working like 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, and I did 5 million in revenue and I don't have any money, right? And
Yeah.
tax
Yeah.
strategy is a big part of this, but and so are a lot of other pieces, but we're sticking to tax strategy. Like in that situation, that's why this is important to me, right? Like what do you do? I think it's a critical aspect. And that's why I asked about the when do you start looking at this?
Yeah.
Because there's a fine line and you can talk about it like when you need to start really getting that strategy. Maybe it's year three. It all depends on the client. I get it.
Right.
But in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
get
What
over
you
the
doing?
startup stuff. Get solid. Year three, probably in general, I'd say by year three, start looking at this.
Yeah. It's like once you have the bag secured, right? That's kind of a way of thinking like, okay, I know what I'm doing now
Mhm.
and I'm actually making money. But there's times where people, like you said, they'll be making millions of dollars and still not really understand what's happening in the business. Like I sat down the other day with somebody to do a strategy consultation. And one of the questions that we ask is, what's the top line, what's the bottom line on your business? And the top line it was a huge number, and the bottom line, it was like 2%
Right.
profitability.
Yeah.
And I said, well, before we get into some of this strategy stuff, we need to talk about your business. Like, what's happening here? You're making all of this money, but you're not keeping any of it. And now even the part that you are keeping, that you're giving away to the government too. So we'll figure that part out. But why aren't you keeping any of the money that you make? Where's it all going? And
It-
yeah, and that kind of stuff is crazy too. And I love I love doing consulting. Like I do some business consulting. I do some fractional CFO stuff
Hmm.
for people too, because not everybody gets into this business world to do accounting.
Right.
It's just us crazy people. And the taxes, it goes right along with that. But like people, I see people doing their own bookkeeping, and like, man, that's not the thing for you. You
You're worth more than that.
yeah,
You're worth more. That is, you hourly are worth more than that.
yeah, you're
Okay.
right. Pay somebody 20,
Right.
30 bucks an hour
Right.
to take care of that stuff for you
Right.
for, a few hours a month is all you
So you
need.
can go make 500 an hour.
Yeah,
Okay. let's,
yeah,
let's be real, right? Let's do that. I did have a client like you're saying that all this in 1.5%
yeah.
was, I'm like,
It
what?
just, ugh.
And I'm just
Oh.
going, is this an accounting thing? What is this like? How can you? I mean, Coca-Cola can work at 0.5%, okay, and still make a ton of money, but you ain't Coca-Cola, okay?
No.
Like, you're 1.5%. I'm like, I would be just the first time I would see that number, I would be, I don't know what I'd be, crying, probably. What
Yeah.
did I do? So I just never looked at the numbers. See, that's how I avoided that.
Yep. There's a lot of people that have that same
That's right.
strategy.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. It works. It's temporary. It's a temporary fix. It's like drugs. You're going to need another round. Okay,
Yeah.
so it doesn't work. So the avoidance thing. Let's talk about that for a second, since I'm going to say you brought it up, because I avoid these things. But but a lot of people do that. They're making money, and it's the old proverbial. They got payroll on Friday. They check the bank account. Will we make it? Will I have enough to cover payroll? That's avoidance too. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you should not be wondering on Tuesday if you got money for Friday. Okay. Just saying, from a business standpoint, like, okay, that may be the simplest place to begin. Like, those are some deep seated things that got to be corrected in the business. So if you're in a constant state of worry of payroll, that's misery. Okay, that's got to be a short term fix goal, like yesterday,
Yeah. Well, and
because
it's understanding cash flow,
that's it.
right? And even if you've taken just kind of like real basic business classes, you learned about the P&L, and maybe you learned what your balance sheet is about. And you probably didn't learn how to put together cash flow and understand what's happening. So, cash flow to most people is what's in my bank account. And I recognize that every Friday, that's about the number that's in my bank account. And so, if something goes awry from that, or I have something else coming up, it's a stress point to try to get to that number. And that's how you look at cash flow. But if you were to really sit down and look at it, you could look at your cash flow for a whole year and have just such a fast understanding of this is how my business works. And I need to figure out how to not go into the valleys because that's when I get stressed out, is when we don't have the cash to do that. So what do I need to do to fill up all of the valleys so that I don't have this problem anymore? But you can't even visualize that without understanding what cash flow is all about.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, and it is tough for people to see past the work that has to be done today. And what do we need to do to get to payroll on Friday?
Well, I think another thing that puts them behind from the get go is there is no financial literacy training in the government school system.
Right?
You know nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to even, at least when I was in, they taught us how to write a check. Now you don't have to do that. You just
That's
you just want
right.
they don't know how to write a check. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. I mean, they've taken every aspect out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I remember about school too. It was like you learned how to write checks and how to keep your checkbook in order, and that was it. Like we didn't learn anything about taxes.
Nope.
The fact that you have to do every time you make money, you have to pay money in taxes. That wasn't even a conversation in
All
school.
all I remembered about taxes was we dumped a lot of tea in a harbor because of it. And that's right.
Like,
That's all I needed to know. I get to be a
yeah,
rebel. Okay, I don't want to pay
yeah.
this. And that was for
And
a lousy 3%. Look what we got
right.
today.
Think about that, right? Because the
Often I do.
history the history of taxes is really crazy because it started off so small for such specific things. And when it really kind of happened, it genuinely was only on people who made a bunch of money at the time, and it was a real small percentage. And you look at how over, 100 years that has changed into everybody paying tons of taxes on every single thing in life. There's this rant that I saw on the internet, and I wish I could recreate it, but it was basically, you know, you go to your job and you pay taxes on the gas so that you can drive to your job, or you pay taxes on the money that you earn when you're there, and then you go to the store and you pay taxes on everything that you're buying so that you can go back to your house that you pay property taxes on and it's like this whole
Yep.
rant, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's probably seen something like that, but it's, you know, there's so many things and it's all kind of invisible to us.
Right.
But if you add it all up, it's like half the money that you earn
Yeah.
in your whole life, half the money goes to
Yep.
taxes in some kind of way.
And as I tell people, everybody's a renter. You
Yeah,
stop, you don't pay your property taxes for 2 years. They
yeah,
will come with guns and escort you off. Okay. You're all renters. All
yeah,
right. And that is what people, to me, Riley, people need to put that context back in their brain and go out and fight against property taxes. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
Florida's looking to do that, but these places like, I bought this place. I shouldn't be in perpetuity. I got to pay you to have the privilege to own it. You know, it's like
Yeah,
that's a tough one. But I look at that like you own nothing. So they just going to take it, and they've like you said the tax on everything along with that rant is like, well, I think I'd be happier if we just did double taxation. I'd come out ahead.
right.
just stop taking everything else. Every move I make is another, you know. I go to England, it's cool because if it says it's a dollar, it's a dollar. The tax is already built in. But they don't
Yeah,
do that here because all the states can make their own tax rates and counties and everything else. Everyone's got their own. Everyone gets to pick how much they want to take out of your pocket. Okay,
that's what it is. Yeah.
so
I mean,
it's
I spent a lot of time in the hotel world, and we would give somebody their folio when they were checking out, and it would say, okay, well, here's your occupancy tax for the city, and here's your occupancy tax for the state, and here's your district tax for the transportation stuff, and here's your sales tax for this stuff. You'd give them a receipt, and here's their room rental, and here's all of their taxes that all went along with this thing. And it's because everybody is getting a piece of everything.
yeah, it's
It's
mm,
crazy.
it's just yeah, your cell phone bill, all the tax on that and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's just everywhere, and it's. I don't know when the wake up period is. When everyone finally goes, I thought I came up with. I mean, I probably didn't come up with it, but I thought the solution is just listen. Everyone should have to stroke a check on April 15th. They don't take anything out for the whole year. Watch
Yeah.
everybody. The guns are going to come out
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're going to
Do
go. Wait a
all
minute,
of the math.
you know.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. I think if you
You got to
really
stroke
have
a
to
big
sit down.
check. Yeah, you're going to make that tax rate come down. You're
Yeah.
going to be a little more interested, a little more involved in tax policy.
Right.
you know? So,
Well, and even that, so I'm in Texas and we don't have state income tax in Texas. we don't have business income tax in Texas until you get to what is it this year? $2.6 million, something like that. Um, but so in Texas, I think everybody kind of forgets because we're like, hey, we don't do taxes here. But we do. And the way that we do it is just different. Like
You guys have
I've
income
been
tax though,
to
right? Do you
there's
guys have
no income tax.
no income
There's no
tax
income
and
tax.
no business? Okay. It's like
Our
Nevada,
property
same thing.
taxes are pretty high.
Yeah. They're going to get
Sales
the
tax
money
are,
somewhere. They're going to get the
yeah,
money from somewhere.
yeah. And so I mean, you hear about, like Trump came out and he's like, hey, let's do away with income taxes and let's just have tariffs. Okay, well, that's a pretty obscure idea for most people to be able to wrap their head around. It's just like we're in Texas and we don't have income tax. Like, okay, well, paying taxes for a bunch of other things to make sure that the government has money because you don't pay income tax, it's an obscure idea for
Right.
people. And every state is different in this
Right.
stuff. And I remember going to Illinois. I was in Chicago working on a project out there.
That's where I'm from.
And I are you
Yes.
it's
I had to
it's
leave.
a,
I couldn't handle it anymore.
it's an amazing city, but my parents was the same way. They both left Chicago and um but all of the taxes that they collect in Chicago, it's completely different from Texas, which is completely different from California, which is completely different from DC. Like it's all so different. And I think people just like, okay, well, I'm not going to pay attention to that because I don't understand that whole world, and I'm just gonna go about my life. And gas prices are higher, and property taxes are higher, and like whatever, I'm just gonna deal with it.
Do you know Chicago's second largest tax? You know, with that income, the accumulate the tax, it's the second highest, second only to property taxes is
What
parking tickets, violations.
doesn't
That's their
surprise me.
number two tax revenue.
Yeah,
Okay.
doesn't surprise me.
So it's just, they're going to get it somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
the government
I
has to keep running
I had my
and
business there, and it's like, wait, now I got to pay another tax on my license? Like 17, because I have a business, I got to pay $17 here. And then Blagojevich back in the day, okay, no, I'm not going to raise income taxes. But the fees for business, holy cow, quadrupled my truck licensing. You're talking large trucks, right? So it went from $400 to $1,600 per truck.
wow.
Okay, when you got 50 trucks, my man, okay, that's not a small amount of money. Okay. And the best thing I ever heard was, well, that's okay. We got wheels. We can leave. We'll take our business to another state. We're out of
Yeah.
here, because it was insane, the fees for business. So there's always these little workarounds. Okay. Because then the average person, I'm here quoting average person, they don't get that businesses are being kind of, extorted,
Yeah.
so that they don't
Well,
have to increase their income taxes.
but I think too, the people that do get it are the ones who are leaving
Right.
different states,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think frequently that's the business owners who
Right.
feel it more than your random person going to their W-2 job.
Right.
You might not see the difference that much year over year, but the business owner,
Right.
they notice
Well,
because
because
it's,
they have more at stake. I
yes,
think there's, and I don't, it's not a better than or anything else. It's just we've built a machine, okay, a business, a machine that needs fuel to create product, right? So we have to have the incoming and the outgoing, but we understand, as we scale this, we can make more, create more, serve more, get the stuff out of the market, right? So now we have more to manage,
yeah,
a lot more to manage. So now, to be a good steward of what my business is creating, I need to protect that money. And that brings us back to tax strategy. Like, well, there's other ways. Okay. Today we're talking about tax strategy. So I think it's incumbent on the business owner to set time aside for this exercise, right? Like it needs to be part of your business strategy. You know,
Yeah.
you can have strategy silos. You got tax, you got growth, you got, we have these different things. So we have to understand this, because let's talk about this for a sec, Ryan, because I want them to understand. Let's go a little bit deeper on what tax strategy actually is slash does. So they kind of
Yeah.
can really get the concept here on, and maybe if you got some high level examples or whatever, like throw those out, because I want people to be able to grab a hold of this so they can move it up on the priority list. That's what I
Yeah.
want.
Well, okay, so the first thing that I really have to work through with business owners, right? We're going to sit down and we're going to do a strategy. The strategy is not for your business, it's for you. Tax strategy is a personal thing. The business is an extension of you. And maybe you have this business over here and you have this business over here. All of that is an extension of you. And at the end of the day, most businesses are pass-through entities, and the one who has to pay the taxes is you. So while you can do stuff to minimize tax liability coming from here or reduce your overall income coming from here, at the end of the day, it all falls on your shoulders. And you're the one who has to have the strategy to take apart all these different pieces, implement certain things in order to get your personal tax liability down. And maybe that means you change your business entity. S corp strategy is a really popular one, and the whole idea there is you stop paying self-employment tax on every dollar that you make in the business, and instead you pay payroll tax on whatever your salary is, and whatever is left, you're not paying self-employment taxes on. And we've got a whole matrix of how to do that, and it's a fantastic strategy. I mean, it saves people tens of thousands of dollars when you're doing the switch. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're saying, well, I'm not going to be a sole proprietorship anymore and have it under my name. Now I'm going to be an S corporation and it has its own name, but it still all comes down to me, right? I'm just putting it in this different kind of category. And there's so many of the different things are just that. How do you categorize it in a different way to pay less money? Another great one that I have is people paying their kids. And what you're doing by paying your kids, you're keeping it in the family. It's money that you made, but you're income shifting. So you're taking it from you at a high tax rate and you're moving it to your kids at a low tax rate or a zero tax rate. And so now you're paying less money in taxes. It's moving stuff around is it's kind of how the whole game works. Is what can I do here? What can I change here? What switch can I flip over here to have all of the same stuff that I need to do anyways, work in a different way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's dive in a little bit deeper on the kid thing, because this is a
Okay.
great strategy. It really has been around for a while. I've seen guys use it. I've used it, and I have 6 kids. Okay, it's a good strategy. Okay,
Nice.
this may encourage you to get those birth rates up. Okay, like because I mean, who you want to give your money to? The government or your
Yeah, the
child?
kids.
The
Give it
kids
to
are
the
always on the
kids.
payroll till they die. Okay, till they're
Yeah.
90. Okay, if you're on whatever. But I mean, it's fun. But let's talk about it. Let's kind of get into it. Because people hear this stuff, Ryan, and they know that's not true. It's not what my kid does my advertising. They I took a picture of them in a hat with my logo on it. So, so
Yeah.
let's break this down a little bit for them so they can have the real scoop. Okay,
Yeah,
and so they
well,
can take advantage of it.
yeah, I mean, so definitely some of those are, the internet doing its thing,
Mhm.
right? Paying your kid $15,000 a year for having their picture on the website,
Right.
that's not a thing. Um, you know, really what it starts and ends with is reasonableness. And so if your kid is 10 years old it's not reasonable to expect them to do all of your accounting work. It is
Oh,
reasonable to expect them to help out in the office and sweep and do shredding and stuff like that. Okay. It's not reasonable to pay your 10-year-old $50,000 a year for doing whatever you decided they're going to do. It's reasonable to pay them $12 an hour to do the number of hours that they work, right? So this is true with most things in the IRS, probably most things in life, I would say, but it's an exercise in reasonableness. But there's great strategies that you can do with this. And I've got a little guide and I'll share it with your users too. Um, your users, your viewers.
they're going to
But
be your
it's called
users.
yeah, it's called The Taxman's Guide to Paying Your Kids. And it's like a short ebook. But in it, we talk about stuff like that, where, hey, if your kid is this age, this age, this age, this age, here's some things that you could have them do. That's reasonable. Here's what you could pay them. That's reasonable. Here, it's a guide to help people understand those things. But I'll tell you what, because I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and so I have an entire plan for them. And I'm trying to make it a thing, so I tell people about it because there's so much more that you can do than just paying your kids.
Right.
And the first part of that is Custodial Roth IRA, which is a fantastic strategy. And the cool thing about Roth IRA is you pay your taxes when you're putting the money in, and then you never pay your taxes again. The kid didn't pay taxes in the first place. So they don't pay taxes when you put it in. They don't pay taxes on the growth, and they don't pay taxes when it comes out. The math on it would just blow your mind.
Especially
If you
starting
were,
young.
yeah,
Young
if
like
you
that is the
start,
key.
yeah, start at 12. Between the ages of 12 and 18, if you just pay your kids 5 grand a year and you dump that into a Roth IRA, by the time they're ready to retire, it's going to be worth $4.6 million. Start a couple years earlier, $11 million. The money is insane, and you will never pay, they will never pay taxes on any of that for a few $1,000s a year.
Yeah.
That's all that it takes to get that started. And so for me, I have this whole other thing where I'm going to the kids are going to have this Roth IRA. And when they turn 18, it gets turned over to them. And at that point, they have to make a pitch. They have to make a presentation to our council of advisors. And so I've got somebody who, is really in favor of education. I've got somebody who's really in favor of business, somebody who's really in favor of investing, all these different things that you could do with your money. And so the kids are going to have to come up with their own plan. You've got this money. What do you want to use it for? It's a Roth IRA, so you could take it out if you want to and still not pay taxes because you already pay taxes on it. So do you want to take it out and start a business? Do you want to take it out and buy a house? Do you want to take it out and go use it for education? You want to leave it there and have it grow and be your retirement fund. There's all these different options. And so along the way, they have to learn about these things. And then in order to do this transition, they have to present it to everybody and say, this is what I'd like to do. Give me your feedback.
Yeah, that's great because I have 6 kids and they're all like upper teens, early 20s now. But, kids at those ages, 17, 18, 19, whatever, they're not making great educated decisions. Okay. Because they're into the now. Okay. They're into
Right.
like, it's instant gratification. Okay. And if there's 20 grand sitting there, 30 grand, even if you want to start a business, like that whole thing of having counsel with that, like you got to walk through your plan. Like you don't say, I'm
Yeah.
just going to start a business. Can I have my 30 grand? Okay, because you know where that's going. Okay, not into a business. All right. So like there has to be that, and you're doing it right. You're getting a multitude of counselors, put them around here. Let's hear all the options, and say, man, but I don't know if you start with the 4.4 million, at retirement like that, or 11, or like you could put in there, like, I think that, like, from my point of wisdom, my lens would really encourage them, like, no, you need to feed this little animal and turn it into a beast. Okay.
Yeah,
Like feed this, and then, that's financial legacy stuff, and
yeah,
you will
yeah,
be, just not a lot, because we primed the pump already. We primed the pump at 5K a year, right? Like if you're doing $100 a month, $50 a month, and just keep dropping in there and watch what happens. Like
yeah,
something as simple as that. Like, again, it's just understanding, right? But the beauty is, at every different age bracket, okay, you're bringing a different level of wisdom to the table, and
yeah,
hopefully they get it, right? Now, kids are going to do what kids do, you know. But I love that you're doing that, because I think that is so important, that you get, because you're their parents, and they listen, they don't listen, you know. They
yeah,
watch, they more, I always say, more is caught than taught. So one caveat: if you ain't doing it, they ain't gonna do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think back to when I was a kid. Like we were saying earlier, like we didn't get financial
Right.
education in school. So all that we learned from what our parents were doing, and our parents just learned from what their parents were doing. And maybe there was some, like my dad was a big entrepreneur. He had an assortment of businesses over his life, and I picked up that bug. Um, but, handling money and understanding the value of money and how to use money it was still a foreign concept to me.
Right. Right.
Like I didn't understand what money was about until 7, 8 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've been in accounting for 26
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
amazing. It's amazing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you have to be intentional on this stuff. And like I said,
yep,
it's got to move up on the priority list. It's, Parkinson's law, right? If your money doesn't have a plan, it will evaporate. And I explain it to people, and they kind of, oh, I go, like if I came up to you, Ryan, I said, Ryan, you're a good dude, man. Here's $100. Here's a good dude. And you put it in your pocket, and then 4 days later, you go, didn't I have $100? No, you took your
yep,
wife out, you did something, this and this. It's nothing. There's no plan for
yep,
that money. It's just, and now
yep,
it's gone. Poof, it's gone. You don't remember. I thought I had. I mean, that's a
yep.
terrible saying. I thought I had some money,
Well, and
but
that's
I
that's
don't.
part of what like the program that we do for kids, that's part of what it is too. Because, you know, here's $1,000. How much of it needs to go to your retirement? How much of it needs to go to savings? How much of it needs to be for emergencies? How much of it needs to be for investing? And whatever's left, okay, that's what you can spend on whatever the rest of your bills are. And even for that, I tell people, I'm like, listen, your kid has their own bank account. It's tax-free money. Go buy their stuff with it. So your kid's in soccer. Great. Go buy him soccer shoes from his bank account. That was tax-free money. If you go buy it from your bank account, you pay taxes on that,
And you get that
right?
fee when you swipe that card. You
You
can,
get all the things.
just, yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But that really is a part of what we try to do too, is like how do we educate kids? And
Yeah,
someday it's been on my list for I don't know how many years now, but I'm gonna start a it's like a summer camp kind of a program in my head where it's going to be educating kids about financial acumen through board games.
that's cool. You ever get the Kiyosaki's? He's got the board game. It's like a Monopoly. I forget what
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called
yeah.
now.
The
Really cool game. I
yeah,
wasn't able
trying
to
to get
get
it.
one.
Cash flow. Cash
Yeah,
flow.
yeah, it was from Cash Flow Quadrant, right? Then he put in the Cash
Yeah.
Flow Quadrant, was a good book. and stuff too. So that's pretty interesting. But that's a good, like those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Start doing that, and getting the funny money out, doing this thing, And then for the advanced older kids, you can talk about the Federal Reserve and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Why we have
Get
a
into real estate
97%
strategy.
devaluation of our currency? Well, that's the AP class. That's the AP class.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that later. Well, Ryan, really, really good. I like kind of putting it. This is a great way to wrap this up because, um, again, financial literacy with your kids, starting them as young as you can, helping them understand what it is, where it goes, and probably more importantly, even than that, is these Roth IRAs, these things you can do, right? These custodial Roth IRAs. Let's
So cool.
start seeing that you can just start dumping money in there. It doesn't matter the amount, it's more
Yeah.
the habit. It's more like show them this is what you do and what you did, right? Because again, more is caught than
Yeah.
taught with kids. If you do it, they're way more likely to do it. If you're telling them to do it and you're not doing it, it doesn't go over so well. It's not received properly, but they see you do it, and I love it. I just again the whole tax strategy philosophy. Okay, this attention that is really, 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 really important for business owners, anyone really, but business owners especially. Like take this to heart, move it up on your priority list because this is how you build. You can build generational wealth with this. You can build your own wealth.
Yeah.
You can again do this stuff for your kids. Like imagine setting them up like that. I mean, they're not going to thank you now. Okay. But maybe you'll be checked out and they're like 65 and they're sitting on a boatload of cash. They're going to be, my dad was okay. He was all
Yeah.
right. He, this
Yeah.
was a great idea. But yeah, very cool. So, how would people get in touch with you? Websites, the whole thing, the whole package, ebook, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, so I'll share the link for downloading the Taxsmith Guide to Paying Your Kids. It's paymykids.taxsmithing.com. Taxsmithing is our tax strategy system that we do. So you can find me there. You can make appointments through that. The main website for us is accentfinance.net, and everything about our business, every way to get in contact with us, every price for everything that we have, it's all on there. It's a big website with lots of stuff. That's the best way. And hop on my calendar. I love doing introduction calls with people. I meet all of our new clients before they become clients, and I would love to do that for people. So uh,
Awesome.
hop onto
Awesome.
my Zoom and let's chat.
Yeah, do it. I mean, you got to do it. I always say this, Ryan, on my podcast. Like, you can read the book, but you got to do what's in it. You know what I mean? Like read the book. That's wonderful,
Yeah.
but you didn't do anything with it. We got to apply this stuff. You gotta if you're in that, but if you're in that whatever that position is right now, but then where you're able to consider tax strategy, you're not in the first day of your business, but you got to make these moves. You got to take that time to step out, go to that higher level, look down, and go, okay, what's important? What's going to make a
Yeah.
difference in this down the road? And it's not a long time down the road either. When you're keeping your money, you're keeping your money. I did it with one. I'll finish with this. I had a client and he had too many employees. Okay. I'll just put it there. Like there's people who are like you, hey, you are leveraged in paropoly. Okay. I said, and he was like, struggling for money. I go, well, you know what? I can get you 250 grand really fast. He goes, well, tell me. I go, fire four people. And he goes, well, I go, you have too many. I go,
Yeah.
and you don't have to wait a year for that money. It'll start next payday. All of a sudden, start putting that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
250 divided by 12 months, whatever. Like come on, man. Like at least your coaching will be paid for. but but I'm just saying, like they don't. This is part of strategy. You have to look at these things. I
Yeah.
love to have people doing things for me, but there gets a point where like they're not doing much. I think I can
Right.
consolidate, okay? Because it's I've seen it to the extremes and a little bit, but there's great ways to recover investment money. Oh, you don't want? Imagine if you did, and you put that $20,000 a month in. an account. You put that in an investment strategy. Oh my, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Where are
Yeah.
you going to go with
Yeah.
that? Right?
A year from now, what's your plan on growing your business? Because that's exactly what you could do.
It,
Couple hundred grand. What's the next phase?
right. I'm just, there's so many. I mean, well, I have a business podcast because we talk about everything all the time. So, yeah. So, but we've talked about all this stuff. And again, tax strategy is a part of this. It's a way to keep more, do
Yeah.
more, and it's awesome. So, Ryan, thank you for your time today. Great conversation. I knew it would be. It's just been fantastic. So, thank you again for taking the time, being with us, sharing your knowledge, and for everybody else. We'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.